Morning, folks. It says the broadcast is live, so we must be live. Morning. Hope you're all right. It's been a while since I've done one of these. It's been Sam and Dylan and other people doing stuff. It seems like it. Right. The purpose of today is to show you what these little, say beauties, but they're a bit ugly actually. What they're for, and then we're going to build some of our kind of popular Lineside detailing kits. So we're going to build a strip of this LX035. A few people have asked over the last couple of weeks, can we build that? So I'm going to build it. I haven't built it for about 6 years myself, so it's just like building the kit for the very first time this morning. I may try and convince the other half to build one of those for you. If not, I'll do it, but we'll see. Not going to build the steps. We don't need the steps. What we're doing is we're building a few bits that will go on our layout that we're building. So I'm putting together a few of these things this morning, and we're going to do an LX51 level crossing pedestrian thingy. So we'll do that. So I'll show you first what those bits are for and how they're going to work, and then we'll move on to the kit. So I'm just going to get my bits ready, and I'll see you in 20 seconds. Right then, should be able to see my desk cam, and I can hear myself through my phone, which is really off-putting. I'm just going to turn that down anymore. Right, these funny little things. Posted these in the Railway Modelers group yesterday, or a Railway Modelers Club app yesterday. They are designed as supports for high-level areas or high-level road sections or whatever on your layout. The plan being, excuse me, Tina, is that they can be used with our retaining walls and any other retaining wall from anybody. Doesn't have to be ours. You can use this to create a high-level section behind your retaining wall. So it gives you the ability to quickly create piers to support your MDF, bit of ply, whatever it is, cardboard, anything, to create a high-level section. So what you do is you build a few of these up, you put them behind the retaining walls, and then you stand your board on it. Dead simple. Loads of holes in it, so you can adjust the height. They simply push together. I'll build one in a second. They'll just simply push together. This hasn't had any glue, and it's rock solid, hasn't been glued at all. If you were in the Railway Modelers app yesterday, you'll have seen that I got Tina to test it, or Tina volunteered to test it, should I say, by standing. I didn't ask her, so we could do a weight test. Tina says, I'll stand on it, so fine, not a problem. So I didn't have to sleep in a spare room last night. It wasn't my idea. So we made 4 of these. We didn't glue them together. We put a bit of board on top, and Tina stood on it, and it supported it, no problem at all. So they hold a lot of weight. So that doesn't mean that Tina's heavy. She's just looked at me now. What I meant is they can hold a person, is what I mean. Compared to what you're going to be putting on it weight-wise on your layout, they support a human being of lightweight, shall we say. But no, you can put a good few, 10 bags of sugar or more, whatever. Just it will support no end. So they're really easy to build. They're not available yet. They will be. They'll be LX427, I think the kit number is. Be available for the weekend, and there may be some other variations with different heights. And there will, at some point, which I'll show you in a minute, be a version which will be suitable for use with inclines. So 4 pieces, really simple. This slots into here. Now we've made these really tight because we want strength, as much strength as possible from these. So they do push in, but you have to give them a bit of a, so you could tap them gently with a block of wood and a hammer if you wanted to, just tap them in. Base pushes together. I've got a rope. Yeah, I know. I'm useless, aren't I? Right, these bits then just slot in. Really simple. As I said, you can choose different heights, so you can vary the positions of these things. Yeah, Terry's just turned up. Sandwich man's just arrived, so Lola's barking now. So you can choose different heights there. They just push in. So we could go back of this wall here. We could work out how high we want it to support our piece of wood, and we would then choose the appropriate slot, one on each side. Or if you want to put them up flush against the back wall, you could put both brackets on the same side, So I'm trying to work out which side I need to put it in. That one. That goes into there, and there we have a stand. Glue it if you wish, but you don't really need to. Then, when you've assembled your 2, 3, 4, however many you want, just glue a bit of board in place. You have a high-level pier or high-level track section or road or whatever you want it to be. So what we wanted is something that's quick and easy to build. We haven't got to get the saw out. You haven't got to faff around. You can have to find the extra timber. You've got a kit. These would be, I don't know, not very expensive at all because they're just really, really simple to build for us to make. What else was I going to say? It's escaped me now. Anyway, oh yeah, if you want to adjust the height, the bottom or the lower heights, I'll do 2 lower ones, or 1 lower one. The lower version, or for lower levels, should I say, not a lower version. Lower levels, pop the bits out again. If you want to use the holes lower down on the supports, what we'd recommend is you just get a pair of wire cutters and just snip through these a little bit further up. So leave yourself holes where you want to put, where the 2 pegs will go. And then if you just snip off with wire cutters across there, just snip each one out. Snip the top off, not snop the top off, that's not a word. Snip the top off, and there you go. We're inventing words as well. You've got lower level ones then for smaller embankments, and I can't get that in. They're quite tight. There we are. It's in. It creaks a bit when you squash it in. There. So you could just snip the top off, and you've got the lowest level it'll do. Height-wise, where's the right measurement there? That will do. That's 60 mil high, and the highest. If I can get one of these out. Where's the 100 there? Highest is roughly 98 millimeters high. Again, we could probably do a taller version for anybody who wants more adjustment and higher versions, but that's what they're for. Simple, quick and easy to do. No drilling, screwing, fanning around with saws and stuff like that. You can just build them really quick. If you want to screw them down, there are 4 screw holes as well in the base. So that's those. Then what we're planning on doing then is we've been making floppy MDF, which you can use with the piers or with a version of the piers, which Dylan's working on this morning, hopefully, which you can use these beauties with. This, believe it or not, was a solid piece of MDF like that yesterday. And then Sam cut this for me yesterday, which turns it into a really floppy and bendy piece of material. Now, the plan with this is we'll do some of these with angles. So instead of sitting straight along the top there, they will have an angled top like that. You would get different heights, and you'll just put them underneath this bendy piece. That'll prop that up at whatever angle you want, or whatever angle we decide to do in the kit. It'd probably be a choice of 2 or 3 angles for an incline, and then of course you can bend it, and then there will be additional straight pieces of MDF or maybe girders or something simple, but this is not to be visible on your layout. The idea is you build an incline, then you would landscape over the top of it, but we'll do some sort of girders or support structures underneath, so that in between each of the piers, because obviously, as you can see, that's bendy, you'd have another pier further down. Imagine that's a small pier further down there, and to stop that bending, we will put some strengthening pieces or small simple girders or that to that effect anyway underneath. So that's how that should work. Hopefully the concept will work all right. I think it does. That works. Pleased with that. Just need to be a bit wider to allow you to get a bit of extra room to play with ballast and everything else. And then we'll do a twin track version, which obviously will not do quite as tight a radius. But as you can see, it does go quite tight radius wise. I don't bend it too far, it'll just break. But no, it's pretty tough. You can go quite sharp. I think Sam tested one yesterday. It was nearly had it doubled round before it actually snapped. So it's pretty strong stuff. So anyway, that's that idea. Right, I suppose we better build a kit, haven't we?
Another question.
Right, questions, yes. What questions we got?
From Ian.
Will they integrate with retaining walls better if the vertical section extended the full width of the base? Yeah, we will do a... I suppose it would. We could do it the full width, I suppose. Yeah, why not? I take it you mean that way, don't you? Can't see it. There we go. That way, so that width. Yeah, we could do. That's just the way I drew it. I just sort of thought, well, it looked sort of nice-ish, as nice as you could make an ugly thing like that look. But yeah, I suppose we can tweak that. We could make it wider, give it a bit extra strength. Why not? Yeah, good idea.
What's the minimum height to give clearance to a typical loco and coaches sitting on Pico Code 100 track? I think this might be called loading gauge.
I've no idea, to be honest, without looking it up. It's one of those things that I don't remember. I've got a piece of paper that tells me. If you join the Railway Modelers Club, you can get access to that free in the free stuff section. I think it's in there. The loading gauge document is in there, and all the dimensions on there for every scale from Z up to G, I think. But I can't remember what the clearance is. Not a clue, unfortunately.
John Tootle, any chance of more info on the wrap version of the retaining walls?
Yeah, they are progressing slowly. I was working on ways of drawing the arch and getting the arch rendered and weathered properly the other day. They are moving forward. They will be much easier to build. Easier to build. Yeah, easier to build than the one you've got to paint, because I don't like painting. And they'll be cheaper as well, because the engraving time is 0 really. The cutting time is there, but the engraving time is nothing. So they'll be cheaper than the engraved version.
Any update on the Southern Region platform wall wrap?
Yeah, several people asking about this. They will be ready soonish. The thing is, with the Southern wraps, there's sort of more than a wrap, because there's the other sort of, whatever they're called, concrete vertical support pieces. Don't know what the name is for them anyway, but there's concrete strips on the front of each bit of platform. So if you imagine on there would be a small strip of, I don't know. Yeah, there's bits that sit like that, and what I've got to do is get my head around how you're going to wrap those, because they're very small. So I need to think about that, whether we do different platform sections for those that want Southern, or whether we're going to give you wraps and just hope that they wrap okay. I'm not sure yet, but I'm on it. Update on scaffolding kit. Yes, I'm working on it today. Tina knows I'm working on it later on this morning and tomorrow. I'm pretty much dedicating all day tomorrow on it to get it finished 100%, and I'd like it out for Friday if I can. So there you go. That's the scaffolding one. Crikey, loads of other questions. Loads of questions.
For sticking wraps onto ply end, yeah.
For me, Yoo-hoo. Can't beat Yoo-hoo. Scribbling with Yoo-hoo like a big kid. Scribble all over it. Stick it on, smooth it on, dead easy. That's the way I do it. Might not be everybody's preferred method, but it works for me. Can use Pritt Stick, but I just don't like it personally. Yeah.
When would you be thinking of making the modern signal gantry? Asked about warning.
As soon as possible. The thing is getting drawings, that's the trouble. And photographic reference material. Ian's gathered quite a few bits together. I think he's got some bits for that. It just comes down to time. We've got projects that take us into 2022 and beyond at the moment, which is really good, but it's also really frustrating. But I've not forgotten about it. It's there. Excuse me while I concentrate on this, because I've just put a brand new blade in my knife and I do not want a repeat of the other week, even though I'm using a safety ruler. Just bear with me. You can talk.
Oh.
I just can't talk.
When are you going to do more on the micro layout?
These bits I'm doing this morning are to go on the micro layout. We'll be moving on back onto that next week. We're going to use our arches on there anyway, so we've got the arches to do. We've got a row of those to cut, probably 3 or 4. I've got a tunnel portal to sort, and we will be ordering track hopefully later in the week. For that, I'm just using this morning as an excuse to build a few random pieces up that we'll need on the layout as we go through building it. Right, so I'm starting with, where's my camera? There, LX35 cable trunking. Now, what I've done, just to speed things up a little bit while I'm waffling, is I've cut out one of the little wraps that goes inside. Probably can't see that, but on there's some cable detail. So that lies inside the troughing and makes it look like there's cables in there when we leave the lids off. So that's what that is. Right, now then, with this comes full instructions and a kit map. So we have parts A, B, C, D, E. A and B are the sides, C is the base, D is an inner section. We can put 2 of those inside, and then E goes on the top. E is the lids for the trunking. Now, my instructions say to put sides A and B onto the base C first. However, loads of people have emailed in over the years and said, actually, if you glue the parts D onto C first, then put A and B on, it makes life much easier. So I'm going to do that this morning. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to ignore my instructions, which I wrote 6 years ago. I'm going to do it the way everybody else says is a better way to do it. So thank you everybody for the feedback on that one. I'm just going to see if I can see where.
Does it mean you're going to update your instructions?
It does mean I'm going to update the instructions. Yeah, I will do. It's personal preference. It works either way. It doesn't matter which way you do it. This is the tedious bit, just releasing this from the kit or from the sheet. So you just have to bear with me. If I'd been more organised yesterday, instead of thinking last minute yesterday afternoon what I was going to build this morning, I could have got the parts all cut out. So you just have to bear with me. I'll try and answer a few more questions while I do this. So what else we got then? What other questions we got? No more. No questions. Fair enough. Right.
Ian Bennett says it's always better to cut yourself with a sharp blade than a blunt one.
It probably is, because you're probably more careful, are you?
The chances are lower that you'll cut yourself with a sharp one.
Ah, right, yeah, because you're sort of far more conscious, whereas when it's blunt, you probably think, it doesn't matter, does it? I'll just carry on. Thank you to everybody that's joined the Railway Modelers Club, by the way. It's doing really well. We've got, this morning, I think, 2,278 members, so we're close to 2,300, which is really, really good. They're all on the free level. It's just so if you want to join the community, you're more than welcome. We'd love to have you in there. The iPhone and Android apps are all live and working fine.
Do you want me to cut? Yeah. Oh, no,
I've got to cut the other bit out here. Yeah, the apps are working great. So you can download it to your phone, your tablet, iPad, whatever you've got. Or you can just use the web version. Just go to community.railwaymodelers.com and join in, really. Loads of great conversations, some fantastic layouts, loads of brilliant questions being asked, loads of knowledge being shared. I'm really pleased with the way it's gone, actually. We've finally managed to build the community we always wanted. The site always lacked the community element, which was frustrating. But now we've got the app in there. It works just like other social media, but it's not mainstream social media. It's our own private place to talk about lots of, I say geeky stuff, but interesting stuff that we enjoy. So to enjoy the hobby and share information and knowledge and all that kind of stuff. I was hoping I hadn't put what sits on here to hold this in, but I have.
Any updates on any new 3D printing items?
Yeah. We've got some machine tools which I need to get photographed. They will be hopefully available in the next week or so. What else? I'm trying to think what else there is. There's some anchors for detailing your harbour layouts and stuff like that, dioramas. There's to go with the meter cupboards that we released last week. There's also a meter cupboard with an actual gas meter in it, so you can have the door open on it, just like you see on estates and things where the gas meter cupboard's broken or been left hanging off or open or whatever. You can see the meter inside. We've got those. Not 3D printed, but we've also got some more, say, wagon and lorry loads kind of things we're working on. A bit like the AX28-2930, where they're just wrapped MDF cores. We've got some of those coming out soon, just as soon as I've finished the graphics for them, which I'm hoping to get done as soon as possible. I need to add them to my list of jobs in my project managing tool thing, which I'll try and remember to do. Right, I'm going to use rocket card glue today, I think, for this one. So this stuff, just like the laser cut kit glue last stages, comes with a flexible tip, which I've lost. So I'm just going to grab another tip out of a pack of them here. Spare tips for these, part number DLAC20. Rocket doesn't dry as quick as the laser cut kit glue, so you don't need a wet pot necessarily to stand your thing. The wet pot, nobody asks, is the jam jar with a bit of tissue in it. I just call it wet pot. It's not a technical name. It's just what I call it. This glue's a bit caked up on the end. Hopefully it flows all right.
Are you still considering making cassette units for fiddle yards?
Yeah. Yeah, we are. There's so much to do. So much. And now I've found the end that's blocked, which is really useful. So I was going to see if I can poke that in. It's better. Right. Okay, so we're going to ignore my instructions and we're going to go with gluing part D. Is it part D? Yeah, part D onto C first. So D are the strips that lie in the middle of the trunking base. So assuming this glue is flowing all right. One thing you may notice with rocket card glue, it does discolour over time. It doesn't affect the performance of the glue, but it goes a funny sort of beige colour. I did speak to John at Deluxe Materials, or via our rep anyway, about the colours, and he was working on it. It does discolour and looks a bit off-putting, but there's nothing wrong with it. It still glues perfectly. It just loses its bright white appearance over time. Right. So all we're doing is gluing that first part C onto D. Anyone know when trunking was first used? Ooh. Ian, are you in here? Are you watching? He'll probably know. It's been around a long time because there was someone on an old colliery line where we used to live, and that must have been there since definitely the 60s. I suppose as soon as colour light signals were introduced, I suppose as soon as they used those rather than semaphores, trunking would have been used, or as soon as electronic communications of any sort on the railway came into existence, I guess. So a good while. My guess would be 60s, maybe slightly earlier. Post Second World War, I would say. Right, just gluing this second strip on now. All that does is gives us a bit of extra height to the inlay when we put the wrap on the top there to make it look like we've got cables inside the trunking. That just brings the cables closer towards the top. Right, so we built a 3-layer thing there. Will any kits become available in Z gauge? Oh, crikey. I'd love to, you know. I really would love to. I'd like to. If the demand's there, I'd like to have a go. Are you going to believe? Sorry, just yeah. Sorry, I'm reading another question now. Yes, we'll have a go. Certain ones may lend themselves to Z gauge, but walls and stuff, yeah, it's the brick paper. Whether we can get the clarity on the printing on the brick paper, but possibly. But let's not say. I'm not saying no. Put it that way. Right. Before I get distracted with more questions, I'm going to put the sides on now. So we've got that 3-layer piece there. Just about to see it, hopefully. Need to get some better lighting in here. In fact, the job for Tina and I this afternoon is to rearrange, or Tina and me, as Elizabeth will say it should be, is to rearrange the development area up here this afternoon. We've had cupboards and benches and stuff built since Christmas, but we haven't actually arranged things properly up here. So we're going to crack on this afternoon and try and get that all sorted so that then we've got a better a more structured area for doing these builds and doing test builds and Sam to spray stuff and make a mess with static grass. I've cleaned up his what I would say is Dexter's kill room. He normally covers the place in plastic when he does. I don't know if you've watched Dexter, you'll know what I mean. Have you ever seen the drama on TV called Dexter? He covers everywhere in plastic when he does his static grass, and it looks like Dexter's kill room up here. Right, I'm concentrating on this now because this is quite fiddly. So all I've done is put a bit of glue down the side of the main trunking base and the centre sections. And this is probably much easier actually than the way I tell you to do the instructions in the instructions. So all I've done now with a bit of rocket down the side. Just run that down, and then I've put the side of the trunking on. So that's now starting to look a bit more like cable trunking. And then we've got a lip inside. If I show you the end, we've got a bit of a lip on one side, which means we can lay the cables in there. Now, some people have been really clever with this stuff and only used one inlay because they've ran actual cables down inside. So if you've got some very, very fine cable, 1/2 mil diameter cable or smaller if you can get it, you can run your own cables in, so you can make it look even more realistic rather than using my printed version.
Are you going to release the A-frame size from your pop kit as a separate kit?
Yes, I am. I think Rachel's asked me loads of times about this, and several other people have asked us. I've got drawings for various A-frames for different shops and all kinds of things, and I must get it done. I could do with Tina being on ClickUp now. She could jump on and add me a task on ClickUp.
I'll remember.
Yeah. I can get it done then. I've started using the project management tool because we've got that many projects on the go. We've started using proper software now to keep on top of where we are with projects. And it works really well actually because I can send jobs backwards and forwards between different staff members and they can send them to me and stuff. And it works quite well actually. We're making more progress on things because we've got it, which is good.
You do it so that people can have access to it. And can...
Do you think I'll give everybody access to it? Gosh, I'll be busy till I was 374 years old. No, I'm not doing that. Not a chance.
Sorry, this is a bit off topic. Is there any chance that you would make a short video of the factory floor and in particular your laser cutter working?
Yes, it's something I would like to do. I'm putting it off a bit because I want to tidy up first. I want to get the place sorted. We get this development area in some sort of decent condition this afternoon and get tidied up. See, reception, I'd like a bit of a shop area in reception. At the moment, we just use still cardboard boxes. There's lots of things I would like to do before I sort of let you all see it. But it probably still would be interesting for everybody to see. But as it is, I'm just house proud as far as that's concerned. I want it to look the dog's what's it. But yes, I'll consider it anyway. Yeah, so I've put both sides on now. So we've got a trunking kind of shape going on there, look. So next job is to put the cables in. So like I say, if you leave one of the centerpieces out, you can put your own, what's it in?
Would you consider doing pigeon baskets?
Pigeon baskets, oh crikey, they'd be interesting. They'd have to be 3D printed probably. Or we could probably wrap them, depending on how big they are, we could wrap them and make them look like they were wicker baskets. I'm assuming they're wicker. And hey up, Dad, you all right? Hey up, Mum, if you're watching, I'm sure you're watching with Dad. Hope you're both okay. Right, so now I'm just putting that, squashing that into there to give us the effect of some cables.
Some 3D printed or other representation of large machines for a factory floor would be great.
Yeah, watch this space. They're on my desk. They're on my desk. I've got machine tools. We've got lathes, we've got drills, we've got saws, we've got whatever else you find on presses, on factory floors. I've got them. They're over there, over that way on my desk. there. I just need to photograph them, but we have them. Yes, they will be available as soon as possible. They've been there for a couple of weeks actually. I've just not had a chance to photograph them yet. Right, cables have gone in. Hard to see, but they're there. Now, what we've got to do now is get our what's it?
Any idea when the
Lids.
LX245 will be back in stock? Steel fire escape.
It should be back in stock. Dylan, you watching? Can you put it back in stock, please? It should be back in stock. It should be there. It should be there. In fact, we might be able to do it here while we're on with it, but I've just realised that I should put one of these strips on the underside of the lids. So I just need to grab another one of these strips here.
Here's the kit made from 0.8 laser board.
This one, this is grey board, similar thickness to the 0.8, but it's grey board. This is because we want a concrete kind of finish. So rather than you having to paint this, this should look pretty close to concrete when it's done. It's got a kind of a concretey finish to it, so you don't need to weather it really. You can paint and weather it if you want to. Some people do, but you don't need to because it looks all right. I'm just going to put a bit of glue down the middle of this strip now, because then what we're going to do is we're going to make this look quite realistic now. Somebody taking the mickey. You cheeky bugger, Nick. Yeah. You think it doesn't get trimmed very often, I must admit. It's about every 6 months, I think. Tina goes, come here, gets the scissors and chops the end off. It doesn't get trimmed that often. It does its thing. It would work, probably would work as gauze pushes, actually. Cheeky bugger. Right, I've glued another piece of strip D to the bottom of the lid now, which gives you kind of a prototypical lid. They're that sort of shape. So from the end, they're a really flat kind of T-shape sort of thing. Now this should, in theory now, if our glue is dry everywhere else, I say should. Yeah, it does. There we go. Right, that presses onto there, just like the real thing. And we have cable trunking with a lid, with cables in it. Now what we can do is we can get quite crafty and clever, just like the real railways. We can cut pieces of this off. It's just the lids. The lids are scored, so they're scored just like the real thing, or so they got the joints just like the real thing. We can cut a couple of these. And what we can do now sounds noisy in the background. It's the printers downstairs, so I do apologise. A bit noisy. So we can put that on there, and we can do the same again with this side. We can put that bit on, so you can see that. In fact, what I'll do, let me stand it on here, and I can lift it up to the camera. So I just push that lid down a bit. You could do it being glued because it's a little bit loose. But what we can do now is do the prototypical thing of leaving some loose lids. There you go. Just like the real thing. Bits missing, all sorts. But it looks great, I think. And it looks like concrete straight out of the packet. I haven't had to weather it or paint it. I could weather it if I want to, but you don't have to. And like I said, you could run real cables, you could run short sections of real cables inside, underneath there. There's a little bit of clearance, or you can just use one of the D strips inside, give yourself more depth in there to run a bit of real cable in. And it's quite an easy kit to do, quite meditative. What I will do now is I will build one of the T pieces. It's also flexible as well. There's a degree of you can bend it, you can tease it round a corner, look, so it will follow. There we go. You can tease it round a corner to follow curved track and stuff like that, or you can cut it in sections and work it round depending on how tight a corner you need to go round. Again, just like the real thing. Right, this one, do one of the T pieces. These are a bit more fiddly, but still not too bad. So we're going to release the T base, not base, T lid, T base.
Would we consider making Royal Mail bags in double
Do you want them filled? I'm assuming you probably would, wouldn't you? You want them 3D printed and filled sacks, wouldn't you? Yeah, I suppose so. It'd take some drawing, but I suppose it's doable. The interesting thing would be to scan one. Whether that could be done, I suppose it might be possible. Yeah, never say never. Give it a go. Oops. Okay, so same principle with this as with the other one. Hopefully my glue is not blocked up now. No, we're all right. So we take the base, which is the, oops, the bit with the notches cut out there, and we're going to glue that onto there to give us a bit of body to work with. Okay, and we'll glue that onto there. Like that. So that just needs to sit nice and centrally in there. So there should be a little bit of the tab should overhang, if that makes sense. You can just about see that. Okay, so that's the base. We need to glue the back on now. This is a lot more fiddly than the other bit, but still not too bad. Just take your time.
It says he finds it easier to keep things like the trunking aligned if you stagger the joints.
Yeah, probably would actually.
Do we do raised trunking on legs?
Raised trunking on legs? No, not yet. We don't. We can probably do the legs. I will add that to my ClickUp list to get somebody to have a look at the legs for us. Perhaps get Dylan to have a look at that for me. Okay, so we've glued that piece to the end there. So we have the base starting to take shape. These are the more tricky bits now. We've got the curved pieces to fit into that section there. So I've got the curved piece in my hand. I'm just going to try and bend it around my knife just to tease it around that corner. And the same with this one. Just introduce a gentle curve to it. So when I try and push it into position there, hopefully it will stick. Should do.
Rachel's asked how many metres does one kit cover?
Ooh, oodles. Crikey, it doesn't say on there. It says on the side. What we got? Hang on, what's here? Well, one length is 28 centimetres, 28 and a bit centimetres, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. 28 times 5. What's that? Answers on a postcard. I don't know. 140. There you go. 1.4 metres then. There you go. 1.4 metres in a pack. Right, so I'm just holding this so it glues to the side of this trunking base there. Just need to wait a few seconds for the glue to go off. That's probably all right, actually. And then do the same again for the other side. nearly there with this bit. This is probably the most fiddly part of this kit. But once it's done, the finished thing, the finished article is worth the effort. Right, let that dry for a minute. So now I'm going to just drew, these look like underpants. But it's easy, probably the easy way to call it. You've got a small pair of underpants and a big pair of underpants. Now I'm going to glue the small pair of underpants onto the big pair of underpants there, which is going to form our lid for this piece. So it's exactly the same as the previous piece. I don't think they're called Y-fronts or underpants in the real world of trunking, but they look like underpants. Right, that's the lid. Double skinned underpants for that. Right, and then I'm just going to go and cut this inlay out again without hopefully cutting my fingers. I have a bit of feedback from somewhere. I don't know where though. There's usually feedback coming from somewhere, but it's not that. It's to do with my phone, I think. Can't turn it down. That's better. So apologies for the feedback. It keeps echoing. I can hear it very faintly. Just bear with me while I concentrate on trying to cut these curves out now. Really must go and get my eyes tested.
A couple of people said they're trunks, not underpants.
Fair enough. Well, I suppose they are. Trunking. Well, it would be trunks, wouldn't they, rather than underpants?
Or grunts.
Mm-hmm. Speedos. What's it? Budgie smugglers. What's Phoebe call them in Friends? Banana hammock or something, isn't it?
Something like that, isn't it?
Banana hammock. Or banana hammock. Right. Cable's going into this bit now. I won't bother gluing it in because there's not really any point. It doesn't need it. I need to trim a little bit of the wrap off, actually. I've left a bit too much spare on there. Just see if I can trim a little tiny bit off the edge. Get it without dropping it. Talk amongst yourselves while I'm concentrating on this, because I'm trying not to remove the end of my finger. And it goes in there. That's better. Now we have a almost.
A few ideas come through for, I take it 3D printed stuff. Pigeon spikes, blacksmith's anvil and furnace.
Oh, an anvil would be
sand
good actually to do.
Roosting birds.
Crikey. Might be busy then. Yeah, even more to do. Right, there we go. There's a T-piece. And we can put the lid on the underpants. And we have a T-piece with a lid. If I can get the lid to fit. Get on. Just got to give it a bit of a press and it goes on. There we are. We have a T section now to go on the end of our trunking, so that can be glued wherever we want it to obviously come off with other sections of trunking. However we decide to go, you can't see that, can you? There we go. That's better. Like that. Does the job, doesn't it? So that's it. That's the trunking. That's LX35 trunking. Doesn't take too long to build. It's a bit fiddly, but it doesn't take that long. It's not too bad at all, really. It's worth the effort. There are meters and meters of that on layouts around the country, which I'm really, really proud of. It's amazing to see it being used, and it does look, even though I say it myself, it does look really good. And you haven't got to paint it, so it saves you a bit of faffing. Right, I'm going to move on to this one, then I'll swap seats with Team, which you can do the LX149 part of it anyway. Morning, Jonathan. Yes, morning to everybody. I've not had a chance to say morning to everybody. So good morning to absolutely everyone that's joined us. How many people have got here? 178 this morning. That's good.
Any shows in the pipeline with events possibly coming back?
We're supposed to be doing Worley in November. We got asked the other day if we were doing the Great Electric Train Show, and the answer to that is I don't know, because I've not heard anything from Hornby Magazine about that or Key Publishing about it, so I couldn't tell you on that one. And then we got asked, are we doing Scotland? Not sure. Heck of a long way to go from here, so I don't know on that one. It depends if there's staff that want to do it. Stafford, again, that's early next year. We may do that. Again, it depends on logistics of getting things up there from here. Right, so this is the anti-slip walkway pedestrian level crossing thing. So I'm just going to, what I'm going to do is build a couple of strips of this, and I'll build a right-angled piece probably to go on the end somewhere, and get a few sections together that we can use on our demo layout at some point. So what I'm going to do first is just cut out a few bits of the wrap for the walkway.
Roger's asked what setup do we have for 3D photographic scanning?
Don't really have any, to be honest. We have a scanner somewhere in a cupboard, but I've never really get it working very well. Never really played with it that much. We've never had the room to do it. Even in here, up here, there's room, but probably not a lot of room. You need a load of space around the thing with the scanner I had. So I don't know. It's something we'd have to look at, or maybe to get somebody to scan it for us. But it's not something with other people, Alan and whatever, being really good at scanning and doing all that kind of stuff. It's not really something that we want to try and get into. Alan's got that part of the market cornered, really. I think we're good at laser stuff mostly, and we're right at 3D printing and 3D design, but scanning is not really something that I'd look to get into immediately. Right, so I've cut out a strip of walkway. I don't know how long I need it yet for the layout, so I'm just going to do a strip for the minute. We've got a corner on it as well, so we could like dominoes, we could put up another piece coming into the side if we wanted to. Then what we have then is two different size pieces of greyboard strip or greyboard squares. These are just cut into squares, so it makes it easier for you guys to work with. You can just cut it off, cut the pieces out, whatever size you want, really easy. Just come out the sheet. So there's two pieces, two sizes. We've got these ones, which are the same width as the main walkway. There. I'll turn it over. I can see what I'm doing better on the other side. And then these ones, simply glue underneath the other one, just to give us a bit of extra height to it. So if you're sitting it in your ballast, or you want to sit over ballast, or you've got some rough ground or whatever, you can just use these underneath. So what I'll do is I'll just glue that strip onto the bottom there. Really quick and easy kit, this. We've done it in a few minutes. And it's Tina's go. You're just neater at the small stuff than I am. You don't have to talk, I'll talk. Right, so we go. We've just made, that's the base for it. So we've got the sort of top piece, which is slightly wider than the bottom, overlaps. So when it sits on your ballast, it just looks like planks of ply with a anti-slip surface stuck on the top, and it just sort of hovers nicely over the ballast or over ground, or sits within grass or whatever wherever you want to put it. It just sits nicely with that extra bit of board underneath. And again, you can trim bits off to fit between your tracks. So if you're going across, I've only got curved track on here, but if you're going across a piece of track, you can just trim these sections to length to sit between the rails or whatever. Really easy. Or you can just put a single piece should sit in the middle of the track, all right, actually, and give you plenty of clearance for the wheels on your wagons, locos, and coaches. Right. So then, anti-slip top. Use U for this, only because I need more coverage and quicker. So this is the same principle. Roger said, what do we use to glue wraps onto things? And I'll just use U. I'm just getting the sooty glue off the end of my fingers. Kid scribbling technique. That's all I can describe it as. I just cover the whole thing with glue, like that. And then we count to 30. No, I'm not counting. No, I'm not counting. No, I'm not counting. While I wait for that, I'm just going to cut out one of the signs, or a couple of the signs, so we can stick them onto one of the posts. The posts are included with the kit. You just need good eyesight to be able to cut these out without cutting the red line off the outside of the sign.
Alan's asked, what do you do to stop the glue settling on the spout of the bottle when you're finished?
On Rocket, when I've finished, I will take it downstairs and I will fill my syringe up with water several times and blast it through there. There's a bit of a trick actually with Rocket when you're using this. When the glue comes out into the tip, can't see, can you? No, sorry. In fact, that one's just started to block up, which is really useful, isn't it? Sometimes you can peel the end and you can get it flowing again. That's better. Right, when the glue comes into the tip, can you see that? The glue starts to come into the tip. When you let go, it doesn't always go back, but if you give it a squeeze side to side, it'll suck the glue back down into the bottle, which is quite useful. That's handy when it's working. Otherwise, you can use the pot of wet tissue and just hang it upside down in that. The only problem is with the flexible tip on the Rocket, it doesn't stand upright, so sometimes you realise that your tip's not actually in the wet bit of the pot of the tissue. Right. There we go. The glue had dried enough, so I've just stuck the anti-slip Walkway on the top. Bob's your uncle. That's that bit done. So we can now trim that to length. We can build other pieces to go at right angles. We can do S-bends, all sorts of things. You get quite a lot of Walkway. It builds up 66 centimetres in one pack, so there's enough to do most depots across the widest amount of track, really. There's plenty in a pack. So what I'm doing now is I'm just cutting out a stop, look, listen sign. There it is. It flew away. And a high-speed train sign. No, I can't read the text on the sign. I just know it says it's high-speed trains because it says it in big letters underneath. But I couldn't tell you what it says. It's something about trains passing at 100 and something mile an hour, or whatever. Something like that. So I'm just going to make one of these up. Obviously, you'd have two in real life. You'd have one either side of the track. But once you've built one, you built them all. As far as the signs are concerned, you've seen. There we go. So we'll do that. And we want a piece of plastic rod, which is included in the kit. I'll probably let's do an 8-foot piece so it can go into the ground by a couple of feet. So 30-ish, 32 mil will do. So a piece that size. Turn the sign over. Make sure I've got it the right way around. Yeah, that way. Turn the sign over, tiny bit of glue. If my glue's now working or not. Oh, it's blocked up again. If you get really stuck with the glue, just trim the end off. And that should work again. There we go. Ooh, too much glue. Far too much. And then the sign's flipped over. I need something. I'll use the end of this bit of rod to put some glue on. I don't want too much so it looks stupid. it with too much glue on there, it'll look silly. Want just enough to grip hold of the to join the sign and the pole together. Right, that's that bit. I'm just going to lie the signpost on the back and press it down with my finger. Move it a bit until it's central. There. That's that one. It's got that. I think it's about square. Yeah. Right, now we've got to try and do this little tiny one here. What time now? 10:55. Not doing too bad. It gives you a couple of minutes to do it. You'll be fine. And same again. This one. Tiny bit of glue in the middle. And I'm going to pick this sign up. And just want to position that other sign, the high speed sign, just underneath the stop, look, listen one. Press it down. Nearly done. And get a tiny bit of glue on the back of there. If it gets noisy in a minute, it's starting to rain, so it could sound like a drum roll in a minute. Yeah, sign done. Stop, look and listen sign. So that's that. That's the LX51 footway, what was called pedestrian level crossing anti-slip walkway. Really simple that. So that's that one. So we've got that done, ready to go on our layout. We've got a piece of trunking. I can finish off building the trunking again later. We've done those. Now you get nervous. Very fine. Let's swap over. So Tina's just going to. We're not going to build the steps because we don't want the steps at the moment. I don't think we want the steps, so we won't build the steps. We could be here all day if we do the steps because they're quite tricky. Tina's going to do LX149, which is these relay box equipment cabinet platforms. So I'll swap over with us. I'm getting some funny looks now. Trying to trip over the thing. You're not talking, are you? No.
I haven't got a clue what I'm talking about.
No, you don't need to. We're only going to build one. And we're just going to cut out the base parts first and the side parts. Mind your fingers.
Is that the only bit that
Yes, yeah, maybe. If you turn it over, you'll see the things. You work from that side. You see the whatever they're called, sprues, pips, nodes, whatever you want to call them. And you can hear the click when you cut them off there. When it's upside down, you hear the click. We need two sides. Yeah, we need these sides. So we need a big double side, that one. There's probably ones on the side as well, isn't there? That's it. Get a nice click. You know it's cut out then. So one of those, we need a single side, two single sides. It's in the middle, I think, yeah.
Two singles.
Two of them, yeah. And then a double side with a leg on. This leg here. That's it. Such an easy kit.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Now you can use the glue if you want. If you'd rather use that one. So nothing much to this at all. These look great when they're sprayed up with silver or grey paint. Yeah,
that's going there.
That is literally it. Yeah, sides on, ends on, job done. And then you can obviously then install your relay boxes, equipment cabinets, whatever you want to call them, on the things. Now,
Right.
if you look really closely, you should be able to just about see there's tread plate engraved on there. It's quite fragile, so in normal circumstances, I'd say to probably paint these before you assemble them, but for this morning we haven't done that. We'll paint them later. But that just helps protect the finish a bit on them. Does that? Yeah, I just run the glue down the edge.
Oh, right,
Down the edge, yeah, leave the tabs, because otherwise what happens with small tabs like that, sometimes they can start to expand. And if they expand, they won't go in the slots. So if you put the glue on the flat bit, on the recessed bit, it won't affect the tabs, which means it's going to be really easy to assemble. Otherwise, if it swells up, if the tabs start to swell, you just won't get them in position. That's it. And in theory, that glue should grip really quickly. Put that in the pot.
Mm-hmm.
As I've said before, the wet pot thing just stops the glue going off in the tips, in these metal tips.
I can't see that.
It's a nightmare. If the glue goes off, though, it's horrible to try and unblock the tips. It's just impossible. You have to put the Dremel through them because they're that tough.
I'm not supposed to fit on there, is it?
Supposed to. There you go. Yeah, I'd be panicking then. I thought it wasn't going to fit. I thought I'd made a mistake in the kit.
Is that supposed to be glued there?
You can do that after, yeah. When the glue started to go off, run a bit of glue up that corner, and then it gives you some extra strength. And then they're really sturdy then. Right, so that piece can go on either way. It can go on left or right-handed. So depending on where you want the entrance to the platform, where you want the entrance to the platform, you can put that on either side. So you can have a left or right-handed platform. Yeah, so while that's gluing now, yeah, run some glue up your inside. If you go up the insides in the corners, it should start to give it some strength. Thought this was a quick kit, somebody says. It is a quick kit. This one's a quick kit.
It would be if Justin was making it. I'm doing it. Oh.
You've never built one of these, have you? So.
Oh, now see, I think I'd prefer to glue that before.
Would you?
Yeah.
Put the glue on it before you put the side on. You could do, I suppose. Personal preference.
Oh, see if I can even see. Right,
I'm watching the concentration on Tina's face. She was taking the mickey out of me the other night because I was concentrating while I was sharpening the scissors.
I'm probably frowning more than anything.
I had my concentration face on, my tongue kept popping out and all sorts of things.
I can't get that to go.
That's all right. That's fine. You would run some glue up the outside as well. Oh, Nigel's just said, can we do brute trolleys? Yes, we can. It's on my list again. I've got so many things to remind myself to put on ClickUp when I get back to my desk. Yeah, brute trolleys. Ian sent me dimensions for brute trolleys years ago. I really must do them. We do LX035, which are the what are they called? Pallet cages that they use at supermarkets for wheeling stuff in and out. We do those. And a brute trolley is not far off that, to be honest. Just slightly angled in places and things like that, but it's certainly doable. But yeah, brute trolleys, not a problem. That's all right. That's neater than I'll get it. Yeah, that's it. So that's the basics of an LX149 trackside what's it platform, relay box platform. It does come with steps and things, but we're not sure how we want it on our layout yet, so on demo layout. But the finished article was not one with steps there, but you can see on the instructions you can build a set of steps in there. On the website it shows you the steps. We could build those, but until we decide exactly what we want with the layout we're building, there's no point in doing the what's-its. Just trying to read through some of the what's-its. Nice, sign me up for loads of clutter. Yeah, no problem. I'll get on with them. Morning, Clydebridge. Morning to everybody that's joined, and thank you all for watching. Really, we had 170 odd people in, which is good for a Wednesday morning out of lockdown. That's pretty good. Loads of people back at work now. We're watching later, no doubt. So thank you all for your likes and all the rest of it. Thanks for your support. Thanks for joining the Railway Modelers Club. If you're not a Railway Modelers Club member, you can join for free at community.railwaymodelers.com, or you can download the app from the App Store. Just search Railway Modelers with an S on the end in the Google Play and App Store. There we go, back on stream, and just need to, oh, that's right, yeah, using the thing. Yeah, so join us in the Railway Modelers Club. It'd be brilliant to have you. 2,270 people in there. Fantastic conversations going on. So loads of information and tips and hints being shared, some superb layouts, and we're about to start. I promised them last week, but we didn't get a chance last week. This week we will start the layout specific special interest groups. So there'll be if you want a group for your layout, so you can post all the updates on your layout, etc. in there. You can have a dedicated group within the app for whatever your layout name is, and you can post all your updates in there. So we're going to set those up. What else is coming? I've uploaded some more kits yesterday, so there's more double O gauge kits going today, more going in yesterday, more going in today, more textures going in today, and hopefully some N-gauge stuff. I think that's about it. So right, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for likes, shares, and all the rest of it. Back again next week with something. Hopefully we'll be back on the layout next week. We'll do some bits. I'll try and get some track ordered, underlay, ballast, other bits, and try and get the retaining walls all cut, ready to build them. All right, thanks for watching.
See ya.
See you next time.
Bye.
See ya.